All right, the Nuggets look to take a 3-1 series lead tonight against the Miami Heat in Game 4, and the Bulls, just like always, there's a lot to talk about the Bulls. We're going to talk about all that and more on another episode of... All right, we'll start with Game 4 tonight. Nuggets and the Heat tipping off in 2 minutes from when we just started recording this right now. Last game, Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray both had 30-point triple doubles.
Yes,
that was unbelievable.
Dirty. And Christian Braun off the bench was 7 for 8 too, the rookie out of Kansas. I love his game.
Yeah.
They're deep. People don't say they're deep because they only go 8 or 9, but those 4 off the bench are really, really solid players, and that's why they're going to win this series.
And when you think about when you talk deep, some people think it means 10 to 12 people, roster deep, but it really just isn't. It's like they have 7 guys that are all really good basketball players. Yeah. Aaron Gordon is a fantastic basketball player, and PJ is a great third option, even though he's been terrible in the series so far. Bruce Brown is another great, one of the best role players in the league. Top to bottom, their 7 or 8 guys are all just great players, and they fill their role perfectly, which is why you need more than that.
That starting 5 is really just assembled perfectly around Jokic. KCP, they sought him out in the offseason from the Wizards. They knew they gave up what we thought was too much at the time.
Yeah,
for
they
KCP.
gave Will Barton and
some picks. I think 2 picks. I think 2 picks.
They also and Monte Morris, who we loved.
And we were like, oh my gosh, for KCP, but he's been great.
He's perfect.
Great perimeter defender, great shooter. And then Aaron Gordon is the perfect player to guard Jimmy Butler. A guy who's just bigger than him, so he can't baby him down low and get these easy foul calls.
Right.
He's just the perfect build.
No, and it's just the team. They're just built so perfectly. The only way Miami wins the series, and let's be real, is if Jimmy becomes 35 points per game super efficiently, and they just knock down all
the rest of the team has to shoot the lights out.
Yeah. Max Strus and Gabe Vincent and Duncan Robinson shot the lights out in Game 2, and they barely won.
Yep.
So they have to do that.
And they didn't shoot well in Game 3, and
Nuggets pulled away.
You can see what happens. Yeah, Eric Spoelstra was always going to buy the Heat a win, but can he buy them? Right. How far is coaching really going to get you?
That's the problem with Jokic, right? Jokic, you can't really make adjustments for Jokic because he just is so good at passing the basketball.
Yeah, and they don't have the right. They're not built for Nikola Jokic. They're really not.
No one really is, but you don't have a guy. But they don't have a long, lengthy guy. Cody Zeller's your backup off the bench. You're gonna get cooked, and Bam's he's 5 minutes the rest of the game. Those 5 minutes is just bad.
It's not good.
It's not.
Jokic just tears up the court.
And with no disrespect to Cody Zeller, he gets rebounds, he gets a couple of.
Yeah,
he played well in Game 2, but you're not stopping Jokic, and it's just such a downgrade from Bam.
Yeah, you gotta limit the Cody Zeller minutes to 0 tonight. The Lakers found some success when they stuck Haji Moore on Jokic, and they had Davis basically in the paint doubling him. And they were like, Aaron Gordon, you can shoot threes. We'll just let you shoot. And I guess the Heat tried that with Kevin Love, but it just...
Kevin Love's not the same player Rui Hachimura is. Just based off mobility alone, Kevin Love doesn't get you that. That's really all there is to say in these finals. I'm not saying they're boring because I've enjoyed watching the finals so far, but it's so clear that if Jokic and Murray just play like that, they're going to win most games, or if they just play to their normal level, they're going to win, unless Miami plays great.
When the Heat took Game 2, there were just so many things that Denver didn't do well. Jamal Murray only took 13 shots in Game 2. You can't...
And that's the way, but that's the way you beat him if you're Miami. You have to... You're not going to take away Jokic. Jokic's going to get you 30, 10, and 10 every fucking night. But you can limit Jamal Murray if you can.
And Michael Porter.
And you can just stick Jimmy Butler on him and try to limit him. The problem with sticking Jimmy Butler and Jamal Murray is who's going to get you offense, because Jimmy Butler's already dead from trying to score the entire game.
And you could tell he had some tired legs, and there were just multiple possessions.
His ankle's still bothering him too, clearly.
Where they're just desperate for a basket. You can see it. In the half court, Miami's half court offense is struggling to score the basketball. They look to Kyle Lowry at the end of the shot clock to try and get them a basket.
Jimmy Butler just looks tired or something.
They just, in our opinion, they don't have enough to come back. We got Nuggets in 5, I think.
I think if the Nuggets win tonight, it's over in 5. If the Heat are able to steal Game 4 tonight just because they play super well, I think it's Nuggets in 6. But the Nuggets...
It's a must-win for the Heat.
This series is going to go 7 games. The series does not go 7 games, and Denver will probably win unless we see some Jimmy Butler heroics.
Deservingly so. They've been the best team in basketball.
All season long. But yeah, speaking of a team that was not the best team in basketball all season long, the Chicago Bulls. I mean, Jesus Christ. So we have now got into contract negotiations with Vooch. It's looking like a 3-year deal right now. I'm hoping it's on the $18 to $19 million side, not the $23 to $24 million side a year. But you never know with what the league, how the NBA works these days, how much people get paid. It's kind of crazy.
Personally, they projected Patrick Williams. I saw they projected Patrick Williams' next contract is going to be 5 years, $100 million.
Right. Which, when you think about it, 20 years isn't even that crazy.
They say with the new TV deal, that'll be like $12.5 million.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what it used
insane
to
to
be.
think about.
But, I mean, something that broke yesterday or 2 days ago, Chris Paul got waived.
Yes.
Yes, he did. What would be your thoughts on getting Chris Paul here? I know we have 2 routes to go, and Chris Paul is the route you don't want to go. But the thing, if Pat Bev really impacted Zach LaVine's game that much, could you imagine what Chris Paul would do? And Billy Donovan's coached Chris Paul before. I mean, I wouldn't be against it, especially because I know AK and Mark Eversley are they don't want to tank.
They don't.
And that would be a great route to go if you don't want to tank. But your route, which you can explain now, involves Scoot Henderson, which I would love to.
Yeah, I mean, my view for the Bulls is to go younger. And Chris Paul on a mid-level exception, if you re-sign Vooch, that's cool, I guess. But where are we going with that? Chris Paul's not making it to the end of the year. And he's not making it through a playoff run.
No, and he's not making us a championship level team. He's making us probably, instead of a 40 and 42 team, we're probably 45 and whatever losses that would be at 45 and 37. Right. I mean, that puts you this year in the East, 45 and 37 puts you at 6. And I mean, I just don't. That's just. Do you really want to be a 6 seed next year and lose in the first round?
Yeah,
to the top 3 teams. That's
we would, if we go the direction where we trade for a top draft pick, we would be a lot worse than 6. We would be 12 or 13, and maybe next year we'd be bad too. But the Bulls' future is so bleak right now, contract wise, that
Well, what's interesting about the blowing it up, and we were talking, and I was thinking about this the other day, is if you're gonna re-sign Vooch is gonna be here to at least the trade deadline. And if you're going to get the 3rd pick, you're not trading DeMar for the 3rd pick. You're trading Zach LaVine.
Yes.
So you're still going to have DeMar and Vooch most likely in your roster, assuming no other trades get made. Assuming the only trade you make is just for that 3rd Portland pick this year. You trade Zach, you trade Caruso, because you got to trade Caruso to make it. And you get Anthony Simons. You have to eat Nurkic's contract just because you have to. That's the only way they get this done. And you take the 3rd pick. Now, the Hornets are actually leaning towards Brandon Miller. And we can get Scoot Henderson at 3. I love that. I don't mind Brandon Miller either. I think that's a fine pick.
I
think he's 6'9".
Or the Thompson kid is
So
really good.
And then you look at a roster of whoever you get at the 3rd pick. So some young star, Patrick Williams, DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic, and whoever your 2 guard is.
Kobe or
whoever you pick up for which is still going to be a team which is built to be good young and still decent next year, because you're still DeMar Vooch on the team. Yeah. And then if you realize at the trade deadline, okay, let's blow this shit up now, then you send DeMar and you send Vooch, because then you get value.
Right, and their value probably would be higher than it is right now.
I think Vooch's would. I think you should look to trade. If you trade LaVine, I think you have to look for DeMar trade options this offseason.
That's the only
But
thing.
Even with Vooch, whatever you get for... I mean, you're still looking at being a solid team. Then you trade Vooch away.
Either way, I'm on board with re-signing Vucevic for even $20 million.
No matter what happens, I like the idea of the re-signing Vooch, just so you can make any trade more appealing.
Exactly.
For him, because it's a lower contract. I think the Bulls should be straightforward with them. Be like, hey, this is our plan going forward. We'll see where we're at in February. But this is what we have in mind for you. If you get Scoot Henderson, then I think, or Brandon Miller, if you get the 3rd pick, you are just in a much better position. Because you now have Patrick Williams, either Scoot or Brandon Miller, and Kobe White, which is much better depth as young guys than we had before.
For sure. By far as well. And I agree with you about the DeRozan point. If we do trade LaVine, I think regardless of if we trade LaVine or not, I just want DeMar DeRozan gone. I loved him for his 2 years that he was here, but he just doesn't fit the offense.
He doesn't pass. He takes Patrick Williams' time. This is the problem.
Yeah, we need to see the development of Patrick Williams this next year. I mean, he needs to score if DeMar DeRozan is gone and Zach LaVine is gone as well, he probably needs to score 17 points a game, 18 points a game.
Yeah, and to justify him actually taking a leap.
Yeah.
And to justify getting $20 million a year. Because let's be honest, if you're going to get paid that much, because I don't want to let him walk. I still think he has a ton of upside. We saw what happened when he let Larry Markkinen and Wendell Carter Jr. walk too early.
Yep.
So I'm okay with doing that. I'm okay with signing him, but I want to see some growth at least. Kobe White has shown consistent growth. I mean, when it's all said and done, the 2019 draft class, Kobe White may be the third best pick. Because John Morant can't get on the floor. Zion Williamson can't figure it out off the floor. And
Darius Garland.
PJ Washington got he's dealing with some other stuff. PJ Washington was the one, he's paying child support for the rest of his life.
Right.
So he's got to play till at least 50 years old.
Yeah, he's paying a lot.
So, I mean, then you're looking at RJ Barrett. You're looking at who doesn't have a right hand and can't shoot the ball to save his life. And you're Darius Garland. So if you look at those picks, Kobe White is not far behind.
No,
he is when you think about pure talent. But if John Morant and Zion Williamson can't even get on the court.
Right. I mean, I'm totally open to re-signing him as well for $14-15 million.
Yeah, and he's the one guy on this roster that has shown steady progression year after year. And the one time it looked like there was a little bit of a step back, it was only after a shoulder injury, and after like the couple months it took to rehab, he looked much better toward the end of the season. I
mean, guys who have the ability to create your own shot, which Kobe White definitely does, are hard to come by, and teams need that all the time. So he's a valuable player in this league for sure. But is he?
He's $13 to $14 million worth. That's what he
is.
If he's asking for 17, I'd give 15 too. Just
so
I know
he's 6'3", right? 6'4".
6'4", 6'5". I think he's listed. Maybe listed.
He played a lot better defense this year.
Much better defense. He was not a liability anymore on the defensive end. Was he guarding the team's best player? No, but he was not a liability anymore.
He was definitely a liability 2 years ago.
Oh yeah. He did turn the ball over much less this year.
Yeah.
He also not only turned the ball over less, but became a better playmaker too. So he got much better at playmaking aspect.
The second most consistent shooter on the team.
And we saw towards the end of the year he became the most consistent.
Yeah, probably
because LaVine dropped 35 and then dropped 12. I mean,
classic.
Yeah. Which is why if you took the Chris Paul route, I would love to see what it does for Zach's game.
Yeah.
Because I think he could average 30 in his sleep if he would just get a guy to get on him and get him shots.
Would be nice.
Because he averaged 28. It was like 28, right? So when Pat Bev got onto the roster, I mean, imagine what it would be. Maybe 27. I mean, imagine what it would be with Chris Paul.
Yeah, it would take his game to the next level.
The Chris Paul route still needs to involve a DeMar DeRozan trade.
And
if you get Chris Paul, you keep Zach.
You're probably paying Chris Paul
12. You're paying
12,
your
12 and a half.
You're paying your MLE. Like that's, and you know teams like the Lakers or the Clippers are going to go all in and pay him much more than that. But I was going to say Russell Westbrook, but I mean I don't want Russell Westbrook because I know he can't shoot. Chris Paul can more than Westbrook.
I mean,
but I wouldn't mind that just for Zach LaVine's sake also, because I think DeMar needs to leave either way.
Yeah, and these are just our opinions on it, by the way. Like, what I personally think will happen is, Mark Eversley and Arturis will make a run at Westbrook and Chris Paul. Yeah, I think they definitely will.
We've shown no sign of wanting to be a team. Even when they first got here, like we were super excited about it because we hadn't been good in so long. But we knew that wasn't a championship team.
Yeah.
They've shown that the thing they want to do most is compete. And they're waiting, they're biding their time, competing while they can. And then at some point they're hoping to do what Arturis did in Denver and land a guy like Jokic. Because that's really what happened, right? Denver, if you look at Denver's wins, they won like 30 games or more for like 20 seasons straight. And even when Arturis got there and they were definitely not a playoff caliber team, they were still winning like 34, 35 games a year.
So we just have to find the best player in the league in the second round. That's it.
I mean,
do we have a second round pick this year?
It's a bit of a stretch, but I'm just saying they're waiting, they're biding their time so they can get a guy like that. Whether it's through free agency, whether it's through the draft, no matter what it is, they're trying to do that, which is going to be annoying until we're good, but ideally at some point we're good. The problem is in the NBA these days, you have to be good right away. And if you're not good right away, you get fired.
Yep, and you got to blow up your team. Fans get impatient. Like us right now, we are impatient with the current Bulls roster.
But we're only impatient because I haven't seen any movement, and we've been dealing with Lonzo, and we've been waiting for Lonzo Ball to come back like he's ever going to come back.
And he's not.
He's never playing again.
So there's definitely reasons to be a little frustrated, and
it's not like if I was a Milwaukee Bucks fan and I was frustrated, then that's over. That's you don't need to get frustrated by that. By the way, that team's gonna look so different next year, I think.
Who?
Milwaukee.
Yeah, that's gonna be very interesting.
Same thing with Boston. The top 3 teams in the East this year are going to look different next year. I don't know how drastically, but I mean, I would not be shocked if James is gone from
For sure.
I would not be shocked if Jaylen Brown is gone from Boston. And I mean, Brook Lopez may sign somewhere else. I wouldn't be shocked if they look for Chris Middleton options.
For sure.
I wouldn't be shocked if they look for Drew Holiday options because he's getting old and he's getting paid a lot. And clearly, he was not good enough to beat the 8th seed this year.
No, he was not. Jimmy Butler cooked that boy alive, and I love Drew Holiday.
I mean, the Cavs are going to have to make some moves because they desperately lack a 3, and Jared Allen and Evan Mobley were gone in the playoffs. And I mean, the Knicks are going to have the Nets. I think the Nets are going to be a sneakily good team next year, especially if they actually. Let's end with this because Dame had comments about where he would want to be traded.
Right.
Boston was on the list, but he doesn't want to go there. It's going to be between Miami and Brooklyn. If Miami wins the title, which they probably won't, but if Miami does, I don't think he wants to go there because Dame doesn't like to ring chase. And it looks like ring chasing. But
they
Brooklyn,
definitely won't win the
imagine Mikal.
Yeah.
Dame,
they have
Johnson,
the picks.
Nick Claxton. They had the assets and the picks. The Brooklyn Nets have the most assets in the league if you look up and down, besides OKC.
Yeah, maybe OKC.
But if you look up and down like role players mixed with picks, Brooklyn has a ton.
Yeah.
Which I'd be open to sending Zach there too.
That's what happens when the best player in the world decides to sign with your team for 4 years and doesn't put in a no-trade clause.
Yep, and then loses in the second round to the best player in the league.
Yeah.
Gets a cut.
Bomb.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I don't think that team's going to look different, too. What are they doing?
Yeah.
What are the Suns going to do with DeAndre Ayton? Because Chris Paul's already waived. DeAndre Ayton was more of a problem than Chris Paul was.
It doesn't fit.
It
seems like he would. They need the big who can rebound.
What are the odds James or Kyrie signs there? Probably pretty high. I would not be shocked if James Harden took a pay cut or Kyrie.
So you got to trade Ayton then.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. But I think that's a done deal whether they go over there or not. Wow. That team, and then here's the problem. But you do that. You go all in with Kyrie. Say it's Kyrie or James Harden, Booker and KD. You go all in. You do that, and then you probably still lose in the 4th round. Or sorry, not 4th round. 2nd round. You have no 4. You have no 5. You have no other 4.
Yeah, that's going to be the hard part.
Because that was the problem this playoffs. Denver was too deep for them.
Yeah, and Nikola was too much. Right? He played DeAndre Ayton off the court. Played him off the court. And
I mean, yeah. What are you gonna do? I mean, Nikola Jokic played everyone except Anthony Davis off the court. And that was just because AD can't defend him as well as he could. That team will also look different next year, but we'll get into that more as the season comes to a close and the draft is. If you think about it, the draft is now 2.5 weeks away. Ideally, there will be some big draft night news for the Bulls, just there was for the Jimmy Butler thing 5 years ago. We will start to pick up and ramp up with all the coverage of that stuff as we get closer. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next time.